Good morning to everyone. Good morning to the people inside the room and also to those following online. This is a hybrid event. Welcome to the session Futurism, Shaping the Future of Tourism of European Regions and Cities. My name is Pilar Santamaria. I work for Finnova, who organized this event in the framework of Futurism, which is a European project co-funded by the EU that supports tourism SMEs in their green and digital transition. Through this morning, we will explore some of the key issues facing the sector of the future of tourism: digitalization, green transition, energy security, energy prices, resilience, regional development. There are many issues, the geopolitics as well, affecting the tourism sector, so we will explore them. We are delighted and we welcome the speakers today here. And we are delighted to bring together representatives of the European institutions, tourist organizations, regional ecosystems, private sector, and we will explore with them the challenges mentioned, but also the opportunities that the tourism is facing across Europe. And we are pleased as well to announce that the member of the European Parliament, Borja Jiménez Larraz, will be joined later to present the perspective on the European Parliament. But now, without further delay, I would like to give the floor. It's my pleasure to give the floor to the CEO of Finnova, Juan Manuel Revuelta. Thank you very much, Juan Manuel.
Thank you very much, Pilar. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. We are extremely interested in this workshop. We have first, we will have the pleasure and the vision from different public bodies from the European Union. Committee of the Regions, Dorota, but we have also a representative of the Economical and Social Committee from the European Parliament, but also at the end of the event, we will close launching the Sustainable Tourism and Resilient Tourism Startup Europe Awards under the umbrella of the Circular Economy Global Conference. Yesterday, we had a meeting in Paris with the OCDE, and they will join us because, you know, 2027 will be the World Year of Sustainable Tourism and Resilient Tourism. We need the tourism, but we have to adapt tourism to reduce the impact from a circular economy point of view, emissions, and all of that. Also, we are doing that under the umbrella of Futurism. Is a iconic project for the European Commission, DG GROW. We are talking of 4 million euros, what is an important amount of money, where we are launching in 2 steps different calls. First has been launched for 60 startups in 6 countries, and we are in the process of accelerating these startups. And in the following months, we will launch the Scale-Up project. It will be another 40 consortia of these small and medium enterprises, demonstrating what are what is the digital, the twin transition, digital transition that it was accelerated during COVID for the tourist sector, but also what is the green transition, Green Deal, renewable energy. Imagine how affect the cost of energy today to the tourist sector. Anyway, Futurism is a project that wants to explore the future of sustainable tourism, and we are going to align that with the United Nations Tourism. We had a meeting 2 days ago, and we will, all of you that are in our database for this event, you will receive a draft of a declaration of circular economy and sustainable and resilient tourism in the following days. And we have the alliance of United Nations Tourism, but also OECD. But it will be explained after by the representative of the Ibagué city from Colombia, that they are leading this circular economy local movement with the support of the Andine Parliament, but also Mercociudades, that are 400 cities from Mercosur, and other entities like the Organization of Iberic States. And we will have also a very brief words about the EU funding roadmap in the field of tourism in the next calls. For example, we are working hard in the next calls in the field of sustainable tourism in September. I'm talking of the sub-program Circular Economy in Tourism. Imagine all the textile waste from the tourist sector. What about the water? We have an enormous challenge about how to reuse the water. Did you know that a hotel that could reuse the water from the air conditioning or from the raining could save 35% of the water just for using in the toilets? We don't need drinking water for the toilets. And especially in islands or in lands that are suffering drought scarcity and desertification. We have a tremendous issue in the field of organic waste. Imagine in organic waste from the kitchens, from the restaurants in Horeca sector, hotel, restaurant, and catering, that there are very modern and efficient installations to produce biogas in the same building to reduce the cost of energy. Today, the main important expense for a hotel after human resources is energy. And okay, it helps also to have certain energy produced for self-consume in the same hotel. Of course, there is legal and administrative challenge in the field of energy, but we have also a legal framework like the energetic cooperatives, etc. But it's projects we are working in. And I don't want to forget about the challenge of the plastic, microplastics, and emergent contaminants in water. That does not affect just the biodiversity, but at the end of the day, also the human health. As now we have, after this event, we will have another about this, One Blue, in this meeting room. And now we have evidence, scientific evidence, that the increase of the ictus in humans are because of nanoplastics and microplastics. We have to understand that protecting the water, the oceans, the rivers, is protecting ourselves. Anyway, thank you very much for coming. The most important is not what is going to happen here, but what we would like is to create networking with all of you, because we will share with you after this event in the following days. UNATE, we will share with them that declaration, the circular economy in sustainable tourism, because we want also your feedbacks, and of course we will appreciate if in the Economical and Social Committee or in the Economical and Social in the Committee of the Regions, if they could, I'm sure they will do. They could do an opinion report about circular economy and sustainable tourism in the following months, taking in account that next year will be the world's year of sustainable tourism and resilient tourism. Thank you very much. Pilar.
Thank you very much, Juan Manuel, for such an interesting introduction. We are now going to move to a panel discussion, which I'm sure we will further develop the points you have already mentioned. Our panel is on digitalization, sustainability, security and energy, the future in tourism. To speak and to participate in this panel, I'm very pleased and very honored to welcome Dorota Tomalak. She is the Deputy Head of Unit of the Secretariat of NAT, the Commission for Natural Resources of the European Committee of the Regions of this House that today welcome us. Also, Isabel Iglesias Juliá. She is member of the European Economic and Social Committee, the EESC, and also representative of the Spanish Confederation of Employers Organizations, the COE. And Lola Uña Cárdenas, a Senior Advisor for Public Affairs and Government Relations at the World Travel and Tourism Council. Welcome, the three of you. Thank you very much. I'm going to start with asking you a very general question. From your point of view, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing tourism today? Who would like to start? Shall we start with the host, with the Committee of the Regions? Please, Dorota.
I think I'm getting the floor first because I'm sitting on the tallest chair, so that's probably the reason. I was trying to think of a sort of single challenge that I could put here on the table, but then decided that I will not play the smarty pants, but I will just quote what our leaders, what the member states believe to be the main challenge. You know that they had a meeting in Cyprus a couple of weeks ago, and I actually put it on the paper so that I don't forget because it is actually a list. So, in their opinion, our tourism sector and our communities are equally affected by geopolitical tensions, economic uncertainty, exacerbated impacts of climate change, overuse and scarcity of natural resources, unbalanced tourism, rapid technological developments, and persistent workforce shortages. So you see, it's 7 challenges. This is what our leaders, heads of government and states believe to be the problem. And I think looking from the very local perspective, because the people I represent here today are your councillors, you know, your mayors, your region's presidents, so basically people you voted for in the last local or regional elections. So obviously geopolitical tensions, it's incredibly important if you're on the borders. So I come from Poland, for instance, so for us, everything related to the war in Ukraine is of high interest. Now, of course, if you come from the southern part of Europe, you're going to be looking at other parts. If you're a Cypriot or a Maltese, obviously you will have more interest in the current war on the Middle East. So obviously here geopolitical tensions will be more, I would say, perhaps geographically limited. But of course, the impact of raising oil prices are affecting all of us. It's a cost of living for us as citizens, but it's also a rising cost of travel, be it the individual car travel, coach travel, or your plane ticket to go back home. So this is a big one. But of course, very locally, it's actually that impact of climate change. And that can be incredibly diverse again. Of course, if you're coming from northern Finland, well, you know, the risk of wildfire may be slightly limited in your locality. But of course, if you're from Athens, well, this is a major issue for your tourism community, but also for your local community as well. Question of scarcity of natural resources here, I'm thinking mainly water, and what you were just saying that I think was the most depressing introduction I've had in a long while. There are a lot of these issues locally that will be dealt with locally. So I think I will maybe pause here because then we can go into elements of that discussing with my fellow panelists.
Thank you very much. Dorota, yes, 7 challenges, big challenges, and affecting more to some regions than others, but some common ones as well. I ask this question now to the next in line, we say. So please, Isabel, what is the main challenge tourism today?
Thanks, and thanks to Finnova for the invitation to the Committee of the Regions. It's always a problem, the mics in this house. We share houses with the Committee of the Regions. The European Economic and Social Committee is normally in the 6th floor, so I just came down one floor, but we share the structural issues regarding communications here. No, I'm gonna try, I was also about to mention the conclusions of the Council of a couple of weeks ago, or the recommendations that they have put on the hands of the Commission. But there, I would then like to focus on a couple of structural challenges that I think the sector, or that we believe the sector faces, because it is in a moment that we can define as of strategic redefinition. In the one side, of course, the sustainable drive, all the challenges caused by sustainability. And in that, I would like to link it to the social sustainability of tourism, the social perception of tourism and the impact it has in local communities. I am Spanish. That is an issue of special concern for the tourism sector, be it SMEs or be it major groups. We have faced, as you may know, major demonstrations in very important touristic areas, which pose the sector major questions on how to move forward in order to ensure that they can balance the impact tourism has in local communities and continuing to grow and to drive the prosperity that tourism drives in these areas. On this, a very important topic is the attraction and retention of talent. We know that tourism in many member states in the EU suffers from skills shortages, from staff shortages, and that it needs to boost upskilling, reskilling, and skilling in general. Digitalization and beyond. Skilling for the green transition is a major challenge for the sector as well. And as I represent employers, I really wanted to focus on this side of the coin. While I think that we can really not forget that we are living, I was talking about more structural challenges, the conjunctural challenge that we are living regarding especially the crisis in the Middle East will have a clear impact on the balances of tourism across the EU during this summer. Spain is being pointed as a safe harbor. We were already beating records of tourists, of visitors last summer. We are getting ready for yet more records, and we will need to see how this can be driven into this more sustainable approach of tourism and how local communities will continue to adapt to those visitor numbers. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Isabel. You also mentioned very important and very current challenges, sustainability. You mentioned, and we will back onto that and the report of the EECS. But now I would like to hear from the sector as well, from the World Travel and Tourist Council. Lola, please. What is the main challenge tourism is facing?
Now better. So no, I was saying thank you so much, and thank you, and I'm really pleased to be sharing a table with a very gender balanced table, which is very important and part of sustainability, of course, in travel and tourism. Maybe very briefly to bring the context, I come from the World Travel and Tourism Council. We are actually, just for those who are not familiar with who we are, we represent the private sector of travel and tourism globally. So I'm bringing also a little bit here the global perspective into the EU, which I think is very important because we speak about local. So it's like local, everything has an impact everywhere, and we've seen that with crises everywhere. So apart from representing the private sector vis-a-vis governments, of course, and decision makers, core to what we do is really research. So we do actually study for 30 years. We've been studying the economic impact of travel and tourism in 185 countries. So we can go back and see the impact on GDP of the sector. So it's like we are studying the direct, indirect, and the induced impact, the total impact of the sector. So very promising, and that's why we know like 10% of global GDP is what the generation of the sector. But more important than just the economic impact is actually the employment. We are a big employer, so we employed last year 366 million people and contributed with $11.6 trillion. That is, imagine if we would be a country, if the travel and tourism sector would be a country, we would be the third largest country in the world, only after the US and China. So just to be, have the context and of the importance of the sector. Now, Europe is, of course, we're seeing really like amazing numbers, like the tourism sector is booming, is growing. It's a very resilient, like we spoke about resilience here, it's a very resilient sector, and we will discuss everything affects the travel and tourism sector. We saw it with COVID. Everything was stopped and people couldn't move. The sector was like zero, but still we recovered. We had, whether it's a climate crisis, a geopolitical crisis, you name it, the sector is very resilient, and the capacity it has to recover is incredible. But of course, we really need coordination. Now, when it comes to the challenges, and you mentioned, of course, like the pressure that we are having in some destinations, I'm Spanish myself, but there are actually some Spanish regions that are actually longing for more tourists. So it's like how you do manage destinations and how you engage and involve the local community, because it's very important that they feel part of the equation, that they feel part when we are designing a tourism strategy, that they need to be part of it. And so probably for us, and the challenge is very much like how to manage the growth, which is very positive because it brings upskilling. It's a sector that increases, of course, and improves and invests a lot on skilling and training. It's a very inclusive sector as well, and so we really need to see how we manage and we strike the balance between the growth and the pressure, but the need of development. It's really a driver for growth, and we have seen that, and it's a driver for peace, and it's in our DNA to travel. So I would focus more on the opportunities that we are having and using technology. I think technology, we haven't mentioned that, but I think we will be discussing the importance of technology in the sector and how it's going to facilitate the way we travel. It's going to facilitate actually also on skilling. It's like, it's going to be a support, it's an asset rather than a competitor. So it's like if we use it properly, of course it needs to be accessible. Everyone needs to have access to technology, and so I would think I suppose here, but it's a mix on how you really engage. It's like public-private community partnerships, like the PPCs, as we like to call it. So of course, collaboration is very important. Public-private, one cannot, advance without the other one, but we certainly need to include the communities here, the people who need to feel proud of the DNA of the cities. They need to feel proud that people want to come visit their destinations, but at the same time, they need to feel that, a destination is a good place to live, but also to visit, but to live, it's very important. So we really need to keep that in mind.
Thank you very much, Lola. Very, very interesting. We are short of time, but I would like to pick up later. I hope we have time to ask you a bit more about technology. Now everyone is talking about artificial intelligence, how can it help? But first, let me go back to the Committee of the Regions, to Dorota. You mentioned these challenges. There are priorities at the EU level. So how can regions and cities, local authorities, regional and local authorities, to put these priorities and to also to tackle these challenges? How can they put this into practice?
Well, I think the short answer is it cannot be done with local and regional authorities, so they have to be part of the equation. And I would like to argue that they need to be involved much earlier than they typically are, because major strategies, major plans are usually hammered at the European level, or we've got member states coming together, but unless you come from Spain that has a nice rotation system between the autonomous communities in terms of participating in these meetings, in the decision, or simply being involved, a lot of regional local authorities are simply not. And then suddenly there appears an EU plan for an agenda, and for a lot of local and regional authorities, it's simply like, okay, well, what we do with this document, how do we translate that into actionable elements? But I wanted to highlight that actually, if you just look at the twin transition, so the digital and the green, you cannot do that without locals, without local authority involvement, starting with infrastructure. It is typically the region that it will invest in the development of soft or low emission connections. So it can be something as big as new railway connection, new links, or it can be as small as e-bikes available in the municipality. And these tiny steps, or the big steps, will then connect into something bigger, reducing our fossil fuel dependency and promoting more sustainable ways of mobility across the municipality, across the region, and on a larger scale across Europe. We also have circular economy initiatives that Juanma was mentioning before. Some of it originates from one person somewhere at the hotel thinking, I'm going to do it differently. But in a lot of places, it's actually promoted and supported by regional authorities. There are excellent initiatives around about promoting short circuits. So getting people to actually pick these local apples from the orchard 5 kilometers away, buying milk for your hotel from that farmer next door. And this is creating wealth in the community. This is promoting local production. This is generating workplaces that may not have anything to do with tourism per se, but that orchard owner, that, a milk owner, they will have work. And that, in turn, may also translate into that circularity, in a sense, if there is, for instance, organic food bought for preparation at the hotel, there may be organic composting. And that can, in turn, be translated either into that bioeconomy, so biogas, local scale production, or it can be simply a compost. And that would then fertilize the lands again, so closing the circuit and contributing to that production. I think this is pioneered in Balearics, for instance. There's also a question of visitor flow management, so there can be involvement in terms of metrics, in terms of data, and here we're coming between the green and the digital. There are a lot of data sitting in regional silos. It can be data on air quality. It can be data on people's movement. It can be data from your municipal transportation hubs, or even how many cyclists pass on your pathways. So this data can be collected, can be analyzed in real time, giving you information on how people are flowing. And on that base, you can then make decisions in terms of, for instance, dispersal techniques. And there's also a question, naturally, about digitalization and access. It can be access to cultural heritage, but it can also be simply information. If this information is available in your language, and let's not fool ourselves, we're not all multilingual. I mean, English, perhaps, but anyone in this room has learned, I don't know, Hungarian on top of your language? Or, how fluent you are in Basque. So if there are resources that are available in the local language, but also thanks to different AI tools in the languages that you yourself master, there are better chances that you will look beyond what is available, the big the big monument of the locality, but will also start looking elsewhere. So providing this platform, providing information and tools to make it available in different languages, this is something that local and regional authorities can also do. And finally, something that Lola was mentioning also, it's about skills. And skills, you either learn them at school, or often you learn them also in vocational educational training. There are communities, there are regions that are very much forward in this approach. I'm thinking Austrian Bundesländer, for instance, that are quite advanced in connecting this vocational training with employers and with public authorities that are supporting that. I'm thinking of Extremadura in Spain again, that is investing under the Pact for Skills in training young people, people who want to enter jobs in tourism, but also those who are already there, to gain new skills so that they can either complement or look at new pathways that will take them professionally somewhere else. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dorota. Many things to comment on, but we are short of time, so I would like to pass to Isabel. Isabel, there is an opinion, a report of the EESC talking about regenerative tourism. Can you please explain a bit more on this? Is different to sustainable? What are the main lines of this kind of new tourism or new concept?
Thanks for your question. Indeed, this is an opinion that we adopted by now already a couple of years ago, and that discuss which was the way forward to ensure the long-term competitiveness of tourism for the EU. And we actually developed it with the help of a professor from the Balearic Islands, which, as you know, are working hard to drive the future of tourism, as they are probably, not to say the most tourism intensive region in the EU, but nearly. So basically, we propose, as the European Economic and Social Committee, that beyond talking about sustainable tourism or circularity in the tourism sector, we think about the next step, which is going from limiting the impacts or mitigating the impacts, which is what you do through sustainable or circular models, to positive impacts. So through regenerative tourism, you would focus on models that impact positively local communities by creating quality jobs, by skilling, upskilling, by ensuring that we drive new ways of housing, etc., but also, of course, driving positive impacts in terms of environmental impacts. So there are very positive experiences already in some projects across the EU, in the Nordic countries, but also in smaller sites in tourism-intensive areas. And what we propose in the opinion is that the upcoming European Sustainable Tourism Strategy already focuses on this, already takes into account how to move forward into the future of tourism in a longer drive. And for that, let me point to something, and I'm gonna stop here. Let me point to something which is very important. We are in the middle of the discussion about the next multi-annual financial framework. We are in an overriding discussion on how to support the private sector in the decarbonization, in the green transition, and we often forget about tourism, which is, of course, such a very important sector for European GDP. So in this call that needs to be integrated, we hope, in this upcoming strategy by the European Commission, which is to really accompany this sector in its transition by supporting businesses and especially SMEs, be it through state aid or other means, but not to forget about it. Buenos días, Borja. Thanks.
Thank you, Isabel. Thank you very much. Welcome, Borja Jimenez. Thank you. And we are now to present our last question to Lola. Lola, I mentioned before if you could develop a bit more about how the new tools, new digital tools can help to shape the future of tourism and to face these new challenges, or the role they have. Dorota mentioned a bit on this, but if you want to see from your point of view of the sector, very briefly as well, because it's very interesting to hear from you how, which lessons we learn from past crises and if they can help.
Certainly. So I'll try to be very brief on technology. I mean, of course, it's making tourism smarter, and it's not going to replace tourism AI. the opposite. And so one of the priorities we've had, I mean, I mentioned that we represent the whole value chain of travel and tourism: hotels, airlines, GDSs, online, offline, the whole value chain. So we are like, my members are competing to each other. However, something that actually lays and that has been a strategic priority all the time since our existence has been technology as seamless travel. So technology is a facilitator of travel. We can actually, facilitate with biometric a seamless journey that you can have at airports with no frictions, where, ideally technology can help us like travel and have an integrated ticketing. That's something that the EU has been trying to do for the past 25 years that I've been in Brussels, even if I don't look that old. So technology is certainly a driver for the sector, and we really need to embrace it. I'm very happy that I have so many young people in the room. I think this is something crucial. Congratulations, because we really need to bring the youth to the table. How many of you have booked a trip using an influencer from Instagram? I have not done yet, but my niece, who is like 16, is actually driving the whole family to travel, like to see the wonders or like the spaces, the experiences that they see because of that. So technology, we need to embrace it, and it's really a vehicle for growth. And we really need to push it. So of course, we need to make sure that, as I mentioned, that it's accessible, that everyone has access to it, that it's ethical. And so we really need to see, to what extent legislation comes into place. However, as I mentioned, like when it comes to border controls, and we see that with the EES, the entry-exit system that we're having in place now, we're going to have many border controls and queues. That is going to certainly impede travel or like make travel less frictionless. So we really need to use technology to facilitate travel and ensure that the whole journey is a seamless one. And when it comes to crisis, because I know we are rushing, crisis, of course, and what we've learned, of course, we have learned from the crisis. As I mentioned, we are exposed to every single crisis, and we have recovered from every single crisis. We did a report back in 2019, end of 2019, without even knowing what was coming afterwards with the pandemic. And we looked into 90 different crises, and because the question is not if, but when the next crisis is going to hit us, whether it's geopolitical, climate, a pandemic. I mean, we're seeing Ebola, we're seeing the current geopolitical, the energy crisis that we are having. So it's like, how fast are we able to recover from those crises? And so geopolitical crises are the ones that actually recover easier from the study that we had. Why? I mean, the important thing is collaboration, and it's really private-public collaboration. We saw like 9/11, we are still having fragmented rules at airports on liquids, etc. There was no collaboration among the different stakeholders, and like it took longer to recover. However, now we see that we are improving and we are learning from past experiences, and so the important thing is to really be prepared, and I think we are in a much better position now. But again, we really need to focus on the public-private collaboration to really get out of the next crisis.
Thank you very much, Lola, for such an interesting and insightful intervention. So I would like to thank you, the three of you, Dorota, Isabel, and Lola, for magnificent insights of the situation of the sector. And as we are really constrained by the timing, I would like to introduce, with not further delay, to the member of the European Parliament, Borja Jiménez Larraat. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us today. He's member of the European Parliament, as I said, Committee of Transport and Tourism, and he's also a member of the Tourism Task Force of the European Parliament. Borja has been, or is being involved much in the work of the Parliament of Tourism, and in the own initiative report of the text of the Parliament that was just adopted in March this year on enhancing connectivity, preserving cultural heritage, and fostering local excellence in European tourism, destination management, and regional tourism growth. So I will give the floor to Borja, who can explain much better and much more. Thank you, Borja.
Okay, so thank you very much, Pilar, and thank you everyone for the invitation. For me, it is a pleasure to be here today with you to discuss the future of tourism in Europe, and more specifically, how we can ensure that tourism continue to be a driver of territorial cohesion and opportunities for our regions and cities. This debate, it's clear that comes at a crucial moment. The European Parliament has recently adopted, as Pilar mentioned, its report on connectivity, cultural heritage, destinations management and regional tourist growth, while the European Commission is preparing the first ever European Sustainable Tourism Strategy. This is just to try to define our position ahead the presentation by the European Commission of its plan. Together, this initiative offers us a unique opportunity to rethink tourism not as a secondary policy area, but as a strategic sector for Europe's future. Tourism is much more than a leisure activity. It is one of Europe's great economic success stories. It represents around 10.5% of European Union GDP, supports more than 25 million jobs and contributes directly to social cohesion, regional development and the preservation of our cultural identity. I can mention, of course, also about the importance that this has in my own country, in Spain, that it represents 13.5% of the GDP. So it is a crucial sector for us. But tourism is not only important for countries traditionally associated with the sector, as it is mine. It is a strategic asset for the entire European Union. It creates opportunities in rural areas, support islands and outermost regions, revitalize historic city centres and helps preserve cultural heritage that might otherwise disappear. For this reason, tourism deserves a much stronger place on the European agenda. Unfortunately, tourism is sometimes presented as a problem rather than an opportunity. We hear increasingly about over-tourism, but far less about the jobs, investment and prosperity tourism creates. This is a reality that I perceive every day in the European Parliament, in the committee in which one I am part. And this is a speech that we should try to fight, because this is, as I have mentioned, a crucial sector for us. Of course, challenges exist and must be addressed, but the answer is not to demonize tourism or tourists. We must reject simplistic narratives and combat what in so many places in the European Union we often call tourismophobia. The objective should be coexistence between residents and visitors, ensuring that tourism remains economically beneficial, socially accepted and environmentally sustainable. The European Parliament has sent a clear message with its report. Through Europe needs a more coordinated, long-term and strategic approach to tourism policy. The sector has demonstrated remarkable resilience in recent years, overcoming the pandemic, inflationary pressure and geopolitical uncertainty. Yet it continues to face significant challenges linked to labour shortages, digital transformation, sustainability requirements and global competition. That is why the forthcoming European Sustainable Tourism Strategy represents such an important milestone. From the Parliament perspective, the strategy should include three key elements. First, a dedicated budgetary dimension. Tourism cannot continue to depend exclusively on fragmented funding opportunities spread across different programs. The next multi-annual financial framework should contain a specific budget line dedicated to tourism. Second, stronger support for regions facing structural disadvantages, including islands, rural areas, mountain regions, outermost territories, and sparsely populated areas. And third, respect for the principle of subsidiarity. European coordination is necessary, and this is something that we are very clear. But tourism reality differs enormously across member states, regions and municipalities. policies that work in one destination may not work in another. There is no place for one-size-fits-all solutions. Local and regional authorities must retain sufficient flexibility to respond to their specific circumstances and challenges. If there is one message at the heart of the Parliament's report, it is that connectivity matters, and that is why this is directly linked with in the Committee of Transport. Without connectivity, there is no tourism. Airports, railways, ports, roads, and digital infrastructure determine whether destinations can compete and attract visitors. Yet many rural, peripheral islands and outermost regions remain at a disadvantage due to geographic isolation, insufficient transport links, or seasonal reduction in services. Improving connectivity is therefore not only a transport issue, it is an economic development policy. The European Parliament has called for a stronger support for multimodal transport, better connections to remote regions, and wider use of public service obligations, where market conditions alone cannot guarantee adequate connectivity. At the same time, connectivity and sustainability must go hand in hand. The future of tourism will require cleaner transport solutions, greater intermodality, and investment in low-emission mobility options. But of course, always guaranteeing this right balance between competitiveness and sustainability. But tourism is not only about moving people. It is also about protecting what makes Europe unique. Europe's cultural heritage, our historic cities, monuments, traditions, languages, gastronomy, and local identities is one of our greatest competitive advantage. We must preserve it, promote it, and ensure that tourism contribute to its protection rather than its degradation. This is where destination management becomes essential. Success should no longer be measured solely by visitor numbers. We need a broader understanding of tourism performance that also considers residents' well-being, quality employment, environmental sustainability, and territorial balance. This is a clear demand by European Union. Destination management organizations play a central role in all this process. Stronger destination governance, better data, and long-term planning will help destinations manage growth more effectively and avoid unnecessary tensions. The objective should be quality tourism, not simply more tourism. And finally, any tourism strategy must place local business and local communities at its center. European tourism is built on small and medium-sized enterprises. Small and medium-sized enterprises and family business represents around 90% of the European tourism sector. European Union's tourism industry comprises 2.3 million SMEs, employing 12.3 million people. Our responsibility as policymakers is to ensure that European legislation help this business remain competitive rather than burdening them with excessive administrative requirements. The green and digital transition are necessary, but they must be achievable for small operators, and sustainable certification or labelling scheme should remain voluntary, affordable, and easy to implement. At the same time, we must address the growing skill gap affecting this sector. Many tourist businesses report difficulties in recruiting qualified workers. 92% of the SMEs in tourism struggle to hire skilled staff. Investing in training, reskilling, and digital competencies will therefore be essential for maintaining competitiveness. We must also ensure that tourism creates tangible benefits for local communities. Residents should feel that tourism improves their quality of life through employment, economic opportunities, better infrastructure, and cultural preservation. This includes promoting short supply chains, encouraging agritourism initiatives, and strengthening partnership between tourism operators and local SMEs. When local communities are involved and benefit directly from tourism, destinations become more resilient, and attractive. Europe has everything to remain the world's leading tourism destination. We have unparalleled cultural heritage, extraordinary natural assets, world-class hospitality, and a rich diversity of regions and cultural and communities. The challenge is not whether tourism has a future in Europe. The challenge is whether we can manage that future intelligently. That means investing in connectivity, protecting cultural heritage, empowering local communities, supporting SMEs, and ensuring that tourist growth remains sustainable and balanced. If we succeed, tourism will continue to be not only a source of economic growth, but also a powerful instrument for strengthening Europe's cohesion and improving the lives of citizens across all our regions. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
The mic is on now. Thank you very much. You touched upon questions really important. Actually, I'm going to very briefly mention them because we don't have much time, but that questions that also have been addressed before. So that means that it's good that you are in line with what the European Parliament is thinking, like a more important place, let's say, or more focused place of tourism in the European agenda. Connectivity and sustainability should go hand in hand. Yes, and three legs of sustainability: environmental, economic, and social sustainability. The importance of tourism to make Europe a unique place. The importance of the skills of the staff. And a very important topic for our SMEs here, that the Food Tourism, our project, supports. The importance of supporting SMEs, which 90% of European tourist sector is formed by SMEs, very important, 2.3 million people employed. So thank you very much for your intervention, and we are happy that you will take all this into account in the new strategic initiative for European Initiative for Tourism.
Yes, just one thing. Thank you, Pilar, for your comments. And now we start with a new path. We will receive the strategy by the European Commission, and it is sure that the European Parliament will react. And we are very open to hear from you, just to check what matters can be improved in that strategy. But what it is really important from our perspective, from the EPP, is that everything, yes, we respect and we promote the competitiveness of our companies, of the tourism industry, and this is something key. So we have to do it hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Juan Manuel Revuelta wanted to take the floor. Please, Juan Manuel.
Yes. We have been talking about the importance of new tourism in the framework of food tourism. That means new skills for the workers in tourism. How to separate in a right way the waste. What about the potential of energy? The used oil from Horeca sector in the city of Valencia, member of this house, of the Committee of the Regions, and member of the Food Tourism Project, they, from the year 2000, they recollect the used oil to produce biodiesel for the public fleet of buses, saving money, but also creating new jobs, and that's sustainable tourism for us when we are talking from a circular economy point of view. I'm talking about new skills and energy because today is a big challenge for all the tourist sector. We have been talking about emissions, jet fuel. What about innovation, new technologies in transforming waste to energy into new carburants for the planes? We need to reduce the CO2. It's because of that we have bring here as an example, and for all of you, the project Life Reskills. Life Reskills is a proposal from the European Union. There are 4 million euros of investment, Reskills and Rest for Cities, for training course for free in the field of decarbonization, circular economy, and is financed by Life Subprogram Energy. That is again open up to the deadline in September. Perhaps we could, Lola, and we could with the also with the support of the Economic and Social Committee and Committee of the Regions, why not to launch a consortia, because you have members that will be interested in both organizations, in why not a live project in the field of skills for energy efficiency and renewable energy in tourism, deadline September. And also we have the open call of European vocational training. I'm talking of Erasmus, not mobility of students. I'm talking of the new skills for workers in the tourist sector. Anyway, it's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juan Manuel. Once again, thank you, the Member of the European Parliament, Borja Jiménez. And Juan Manuel was mentioning about funding opportunities. To develop more on this will be the Director of Funds of Innova, Juan Biesca, who will bring perspective of funding opportunities. He's joining us online. Thank you very much and welcome, Juan.
Hello, good morning, Pilar. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this important meeting of the Futurism project, and also thank you very much to the Committee of the Regions to invite us to be here today in this meeting. So in these more or less 10 minutes that I'm going to have here today to explain how can finance tourism projects, I just want to make a short introduction because we are in a very important moment right now. We are finishing more or less the period 2021-2027, and we've got people here today that are negotiating the new multi-annual financial framework from 2028-2030. Okay, so I just want to present just very short what is going to happen in the new period, okay, with the programs that are related or that can finance projects in the tourism sector, mainly for the SMEs. So first of all, regarding the structural funds and agriculture and everything, there will be some national and regional partnership plans that will include everything that is related to RDF, European Social Fund, that normally finance a lot of projects regarding tourism. Okay. Secondly, and I know that most of you know this future program is the European Competitiveness Fund that will include the Horizon Europe program. Okay, so the new thing for this period is that the enterprise part of the single market program will be included probably in this European Competitiveness Fund. Single market program will be divided into two big programs, and the part for enterprises will be included in the European Competitiveness Fund. Okay, this is quite important. And finally, you know that there will be a new program called Single Market and Customs Program that will include all the single market program that we normally are used to work here. But the part of enterprises is not going to be here. Also, there will be a merge of the Creative Europe program, that there is a lot of things regarding culture, creativity, cultural and industries, etc. will be fusioned with the SERV program, the Citizens' Rights, Value, Equality program, and the name of the new program is going to be Agora EU. Okay, so for the moment, these are the main changes of the new period, okay, that are going to be really important, and it's important also to know which are going to be all the changes. Okay, so finally, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to present shortly what is going to to happen or in these 2 next years, which are going to be the last, let's say, call for proposals for these 2 years, 2026, 2027, and what we can do regarding tourism, which are going to be the calls, okay? So first of all, one of the programs that has got a lot of calls right now, exactly there will be perhaps 15 calls regarding culture and tourism, is Horizon Europe program. You know, Horizon Europe program is the program of the European Union for research and innovation, okay? This program is divided into 3 main pillars, as you know: excellent science, okay, global challenges, and innovative Europe. Is the biggest program of the European Union with 100,000 euros for the actual period. Here you can see on the screen more or less the different budget for the pillar 2, the different clusters. We've got a lot of clusters in this pillar, and here you can see all the thematic that covers this pillar 2 in the different clusters. More or less all the calls regarding tourism that are open right now are included in the cluster number 2, cluster for inclusive and secure. Sorry, well, it's not here. It's exactly, sorry, here the cluster 2, culture, creativity, and inclusive societies. Okay, this is quite important. We will see all these calls. Okay, but I have to tell you that tourism projects can participate in the 3 pillars. First of all, the pillar 1, excellent science, mainly for projects regarding for tourism, but with a research part, mainly universities. The pillar 2 that we've seen, and the most important pillar for enterprises is the pillar number 3, innovative Europe, with the European Innovation Council, and in this pillar is the famous EIC Accelerator. That is a program focused on SMEs particular, okay? Well, here you've got the description of this pillar 3, innovative Europe, okay? And I want here in green, you've got the main part, the EIC Accelerator. That is a kind of mixed finance, subvention and blended finance, equity, loans, etc., etc. In, as you know, in Horizon Europe, you can participate in 3 main type of projects: research and innovation actions, okay, where the research part is very important, and here the enterprises can get finance at 100% of the cost of your project. There are also another type is innovation actions with 70% of financing for enterprises or for people that get benefits, okay? And finally, coordination and support actions, but these are not mainly for enterprises, these are coordination actions in the tourism or cultural sector, okay? So participation in these pillars and in the different type of actions depend of the TRL of the projects that you are presenting. The high-end TRL, technology readiness level, TRL 9, TRL 8, they are going to go to the EIC Accelerator and to the, let's say, innovation action. If the TRL are lowest, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc., they're going to pillar 1, and in the middle, 4 to 6, we're going to go to innovation actions main, okay? Important thing for the SMEs, and sorry, mid-caps also in this period, they are including mid-caps. The EIC Accelerator is a very important opportunity for the people that are here today, for the enterprises. They can finance your ideas, your products, your startups, okay, till 2.5 million euros with a percentage of co-financing of 70%, okay? Just for just a subvention, okay? If the project is okay, the European Commission can give you even to 10 million euros in investment, in equity, in loans that can promote your startup to international markets. Very, very important opportunity for SMEs. Everything is good in the program, but the problem is that there are very low success rate in this program. So you have to prepare a very, very good, the best idea that you've got in your life. You have to present it here in this kind of course. Okay. There are also another type of call for proposals in the European Institute of Innovation and Technology under the Knowledge Innovation Communities in industrial, cultural industries, okay? This is a model of innovation in a fourth helix model, okay? And what I want to share also is, please just take a look on the screen right now, because these are the calls that are right now open for submission or forthcoming in the few months related to tourism. Okay, so there is 19 calls. First of all, as you can see, a smart social economy model in tourism is a preparatory action, quite interesting. And also in the cluster 2 and the mission oceans, there are different calls regarding tourism. Okay, so we're going to send to the people that are right now here today in this meeting, we're going to send you these 19 calls for proposals just to see if you are interested to participate. Please try to benefit, because we are talking about the last calls in the Horizon Europe program 27-26. Okay? Well, as you can see, there is a lot of things, artificial intelligence, there are projects regarding to heritage, there are a lot of things related to tourism. Okay? And finally, there's also a lot of calls. There is an interesting program also that most of you knows, is the Erasmus program. Juan Revuelta mentioned it, capacity buildings, skills, okay. Erasmus program is also a big program. There are different type of actions, mobility projects, cooperation for innovation projects, okay. And I want just to pinpoint that under the key action 2, there is a quite interesting calls for proposals regarding capacity building development in the field of higher education and in the field of vocational education and training. Okay, so for you, for enterprises, the main or the most interesting part will be the vocational education and training part. And another important thing is that you can collaborate with third countries preparing proposals. Latin America, the Mediterranean, the Africa Mediterranean, the Sub-Saharan Africa, the Caribbean, okay, and the neighborhood of the European Union. Just today, I just want to show you some example of selected projects. As you can see on the screen, there is a lot of projects relating vocational education and training, and in this case, hospitality and tourism. All of these projects are related to tourism. The next call of this kind of programs will be published on November 2006. Okay, so I recommend to all the enterprises that are here to participate in this kind of proposals that are quite interesting. Okay. So thank you very much, Pilar. That's all that I wanted to tell you. Please think that there are only 2 years right now to participate in this last call for proposals. Please use this information to try to put your ideas into this call. So thank you very much to all of you, Pilar, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Juan. Very, very interesting for everyone, and especially for the SMEs. And it's good that you point out this 2 years that these calls are finishing in 2 years, and also you gave an insight or what is coming, priorities coming for the next budget. Thank you very much. We are now passing to our next step, to our next panel. We are going to hear from the European Regional Tourism Ecosystem. We will hear the perspective from representative of the Belgian tourist ecosystem. So I would like to welcome to the floor to Bruno Biem. He's a marketing strategy at Visit Brussels. He's the official tourism organization of the Brussels capital region. Please, Bruno. Yes, please. I will call you, and you can take your seat in the here in the main floor. Let's say. Vicent Nix, Chief Strategist of Tourism Vlaanderen, is the public agency responsible for tourism development and promotion in Flanders. Welcome. Louis Lamartine, the CEO of Book Better, is a Belgian travel platform helping travelers identify and book lower emission travel options and make more sustainable travel choices. Thank you very much and welcome. Nikki de Schrijver, CEO of Coach, is a Belgian platform helping consumers, retailers, and cities make more sustainable and circular choices through local and responsible consumption. Welcome, Nikki. And finally, Karel van der Heyden is the CEO of Camprea, which is a Belgian company developing digital solutions for the management of camper tourism destinations and motorhome areas. Welcome, Karel. So I think we are all already here in the panel. In this part, I will give the floor to each of you to see your perspective of the sector and from your point of view how the regional tourism and local tourism should be developed. So first, I will welcome Bruno, please.
Hi everyone, good morning. Thanks for the invitation. So I'm Bruno from Visit Brussels. And I'm here to introduce you to Visit Brussels, the way that we see tourism, and one of our projects that we are working on for the moment. You may know Visit Brussels is more than a tourist office. It's a DMO, Destination Management Organization, and we are focused on the Brussels capital region. Our status is the organization of public interest. We work with subsidies and we are with our own generated incomes. We have a strategy for 5 years. It's a management contract that we got with the region of Brussels, and this shows the way to structure tourism in 5 years, and every year we have these guidance letters giving us the step to growing serenely and on the good way of tourism in Brussels. Officially, Brussels is the communication and tourism promotion agency for the Brussels capital region, in charge of promoting tourism, culture and event. We have 3 main activities. So we work a lot of culture and communication for Brussels people, national people and international visitors, focus on cultural promotion and event organization. Of course, tourism and marketing is our core business for leisure and business tourism. You may know that Brussels have a unique European position, that we have a perfect balance between leisure and business tourism. It's 50-50 in terms of occupancy rate, so it's a specific position in Europe, and we keep this balance, and I will explain further why this balance is very important. Of course, city marketing and so on. And last point is our welcome structure, like infotourism and some ticketing for attraction and activities. 3 main objectives for Visit Brussels: building a strong identity for Brussels with some city marketing approach, experiences, focus our clients' needs and enhance the experiences in Brussels. Of course, decentralization of Brussels, of the tourism in Brussels. This strategy is based on time and space, so we are working a lot to to spread tourism in time, we have this particular 50-50 type of tourism, but we have also a quite flight rate. Along the year, we have only a variation from 15% from low to high season. So this flat rate of occupancy is really the best way for us to see tourism. Having no peak and no low seasons and working on this is a huge work, and we are working on it quite every day. This is decentralization in time, but also in space. Brussels is not only the city center, we are working with the 19th commune of Brussels, but also with huge area in Brussels that have a lot of offers and attraction, like the Ezel with the Atomium exhibition area. We got Tour and Taxi, the brand new Canal Museum will open at the end of the year. We have Le Cinquantenaire, Flagey, Louise Avenue, and also Saint-Gilles, and different area in Brussels. Last but not least, promoting and developing a visitor economy with positive impact. This is the way we see the tourism. Always keeping a good balance between social, cultural, ecological, and economical impact. Every target, every visitors, we have to balance, to measure this balance and keep it as best as we can. It's not bad to working on the Brazilian market, because however the ecological impact will be a little bit higher, they stay longer in the destination. For example, the Brazilian market, the average number of nights they stay in the country is 14. 14 days they stay here. So the impact of the stay is higher. And the interest of Brazilian market is brewery. They are fond of brewery. So they travel a lot in the country, they taste, they are in contact with the brewer here in Belgium. So every market needs to be adapted and to see what's happened and which is the good balance or not. Now the project that we are working on is the brand new Brussels card, the city card that you can use to visit the city is the Brussels Smart City Card. So the idea is having on a one platform the best experience that you can get for Brussels. One point is search and planification. So with the data of the users and some algorithm, we will promote the best content for them, adapt to their needs, and we help them to planification on the best way they can explore Brussels. With that, we have the shared and public transportation. In this application, you can choose what kind of transportation you will use to visit the city. Effortless discovery, lot of activities. For the moment, in the Brussels card, there is museum and attraction. We will add restaurant, we will add hotels, we will add guided tours. So the full experience of Brussels. And real-time smart routine, we use weather condition and tourism flow to adapt the way that they discover Brussels. To avoid over-tourism in some area, with the use of this application, we will advise people and visitors to go on another site with the same interest that they get for it. So we will use it on that way. Yes, this one. More than this smart tourism is a total driver for collective competitiveness. In fact, all the partners, all the Brussels tourist activities, we will represent it in this application and with unified identity, and it's really strong destination. Smooth mobility, as explained, you can use a trottinette, je sais pas comment dire en anglais, trottinette. You can take a tram, you can take a bus, you can take a train. Everything in this application can be buy directly and used directly. The offers, as explained, guided tour can be booked. You can book a restaurant, a night more, a museum, everything is on it. And then balance this visitor distribution, as explained. With this data, we will manage the tourism flow and advise them to have the best experience that they can in Brussels. With that, we can manage the destination using data as best as we can for the best experience of our visitors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to highlight some data that like you have 50-50 rate, sustainable rate all year, very interesting. And well, the 14 days average of people staying in the country, if I'm not mistaken. And then just to mention that some people like me who live for a while in Brussels and feel it now like home, it's really nice and interesting to hear these familiar names where they are touristic destinations, but we feel it like part of our everyday life, I have to say it. So thank you very much, Bruno, now from Flanders. I'm sorry, I have to say the pronunciation of the names and the Dutch. So it's Tourism Vlaanderen.
Yes, thank you. In Flemish, my name is Vincent Nijs, but and you pronounce it differently. But sometimes people abroad call me Nice, but that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Bruno. Very interesting. I would just want to add one thing to the Brussels situation. I think it's fantastic indeed that the seasonal spread of the arrivals and the overnights in Brussels, it's among the best in Europe. Antwerp and Brussels are in the top 3 of the best seasonality for accommodation. So that's very nice to work with, I think. Okay, I will tell my story. I called it Regenerative Tourism Strategy, a DMO perspective. Like Visit Brussels, we are colleagues. I maybe immediately show the map. We are here in Brussels, where your organization has the competence. So we work also from Brussels because our office of Visit Flanders is in the center of Brussels. But we work for the 5 Flemish provinces together at the Flemish region. And why I put this word regenerative on the slide is it is only the second time I'm doing this because we have designed a completely new vision on tourism policy, which we worked on, and I will explain it in a few minutes, for 2 years. I think we had a visionary CEO who was thinking before the previous elections, we have to be prepared to have a clear vision on what the role of government should be in tourism and how we see the future of tourism. So we spent a lot of time discussing this and creating this together in a co-creative way together with our sector. I think it has all the elements of regenerative tourism, but we have never ever called it this way. And it's one of my takeaways also at the end of my presentation, but I'll come to that point. So the paradigm shift that we want to make with tourism in Flanders, but I think it goes beyond Flanders. I think it can be inspirational for many other destinations, and many are also doing it already, is that, if we look at tourism just as purely an economic driver, we might get into trouble. And we see it also happening in many places. I think it's very interesting that the MEP was also referring to it. It's a matter of balance. Of course, we cannot neglect that there is a lot of employment, there's a lot of economic factors in tourism. But if you narrow it down to only just that, you will create a kind of tourism that maybe nobody wants, which is not nice for the visitor, which is definitely not nice for the people who live there. So this is the bottom line of the vision where we worked at, where we have to look at tourism in a much more broader way. And it's not, is it or economic or is it something else? No, it should be all of that. And the question is in what kind of balanced way. This higher goal of balanced tourism in Flanders we call flourishing Flanders. And maybe I can use the word regenerative here because we borrowed ideas of living systems ideas, the holistic approach, etc. This is all in academic language linked to regenerative tourism. But again, we called it Travel to Tomorrow, which is the vision for Flanders about tourism, which is about balance, which is putting tourism as rather a means than an end. I think you understand. If you make tourism the goal of everything, then it's very different than making tourism a positive instrument to create a better society. It's a more humble position you should take with tourism, which is what we now do. And the text you see there in the middle of the slide is what literally our new minister a few years ago put at the core of her policy note, being we want to strengthen the positive role of tourism. It means we try to enhance everything that can be positive thanks to tourism, and we're not going into the problem-fixing mode. That's a different approach. to ensure that Flanders can flourish as an innovative and inspiring travel destination. And then it comes for the benefit of the inhabitants, entrepreneurs and visitors. And that's really important. It's all the people involved in tourism. It's not just the tourists or not just the entrepreneurs. It's everyone, including the residents. And since we have this vision, I think we did like 40,000 surveys with residents. We listen to them. We make sure that the local DMOs are involving the residents, as people have said in the first panel also, so that tourism policies on a local level are being created together with the people who live there, and not just they're not just part of the decor. Huh? So that's the vision. I'll go very fast on this one, but I'm sure you can Google what we have provided about the vision. It's just some principles to apply it, huh? Because once you have this vision is kind of philosophical. Huh? It's easy to like agree with it, but it's then not so easy to bring it into practice. Huh? So we created some principles like how can we create this added value for all stakeholders? How can we connect people, because that's what tourism should be about? How can we do it in a participative way, etc. And very shortly, to make it even more concrete in practice is, what do we work with then? And so we made a lot of choices, but clear choices, a good framework, like if we develop and promote Flanders, we'll do it only on these themes. I'm not going into the details what the themes are, but the most important takeaway is if you start developing tourism for your region or your local place, do it on those topics that are in your DNA. Don't develop cycling tourism if nobody cycles. I know destinations who've done it. A big investment in cycling tourism, and then the residents say, why are these tourists cycling here? We don't do it. So stick to who you are. And I'll finish with the two last slides by briefly giving the learnings of this journey, creating this kind of vision, if destination would be interested to do so. Work on this strategy and this vision first, and then maybe look at your organization, how you have to change, and make the change together with your sector. It will feel uncomfortable if you make this change, because you will be doing different things than before. It's about long-term policy making, which is good, because as a DMO you need that. Policymakers come and go, but you need stability there. Lead your own process. Don't let a consultant make this kind of exercises. Of course, do it bottom up. And do it with the people who are interested. Don't force the big airlines or the big hotel chains to do it with you. Open the door and let everybody who wants work with you, but don't force players to work with it. Measure the impact of tourism, and it becomes more complex. If tourism is more than the classic KPIs, you have to measure a lot more. And I see Bruno doing like this. I think we understand. And of course, and this is the last thing I want to share, is seek international cooperation. That's also why I'm here, and I want to share our experiences. And I have put some logos on the slides. We are part of this next tour, the network of regions in Europe. They're also in our office in Brussels. But many other regions, I've also put Visit Brussels and the Walloon and Oost-Belgian colleagues there, because we're working hard together on a single digital entry point system, according to the new EU regulation. And what I wanted to say here is we see many challenges, and I was very happy to hear many of the ones. I prepared myself some of the challenges, and the panel this morning actually made kind of the same. I don't have to repeat it. So I will conclude my speech by saying what we expect from the EU and from the Commission is what also the MAP said. There should be a tourism budget line. The fragmentation of the different pillars where the money could come from for tourism, it's too much differentiated. It should be one budget line. The recognition of regions as a competent level to work on tourism, very important, also heard in the first panel. Data-driven management with the SMEs and the destinations needs support there. That's the third one. Seamless multi-mobility, very important. We have to make the trains work through different countries and make it much easier to book a trip by train, I think. And then the last one, of course, the energy shift. Destinations, SMEs, we all need help, knowledge, and also money, I'm afraid, to make this shift. And this is what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Yes, we have been hearing this morning about challenges and opportunities, and I think they are all on the same line, the ones that you pick and everyone has been mentioning. And also, actually, I will also to highlight that you have this strategy of regenerative tourism, and this is in line with the ESC report that they were mentioned, Isabel was mentioned this morning, that they talk about regenerative tourism as well. So I think it's very, very interesting to see that this morning this was mentioned as well. Maybe you have some different particularities, but was mentioned.
Thank you. I will have a look. And maybe I could add just one thing. We're, of course, looking forward a lot to this new tourism strategy that the Commission will come up with. Hearing the MEP, I hope many of the things that have been said will be included, including the single budget line for tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to continue this debate, but we are short of time, I keep on saying, but now, so we have to be short. And I ask you to be not very long in your interventions, but we are passing now to the entrepreneurs and the SMEs. I would like to welcome Luis Lamberty, the CEO of Book Better, who are a platform, Belgian platform for tourism. Please, yours is the floor, Luis.
Thank you very much. Voila, again. It's very nice to hear what the previous speakers have said and what the MEP also said about quality tourism, but also about the connectivity matters, and not just connectivity, but sustainable connectivity. And so that's what Book Better is all about. It's about sustainable connectivity. What we have seen is a travel industry and an aviation industry that is kind of stuck with low impact sustainability solutions. It's very hard for the aviation industry to make a switch, but actually we all depend on it. So the DMOs that were explaining 2 weeks average stay of a Brazilian traveler, well, of course that traveler needs to get there. And if you look at the impact of that traveler getting there, the CO2 footprint, the overall footprint of that traveler, I'll show you some numbers in a bit, but it is an important topic to address. We cannot ignore it. And that's why we're here. That's why Book Better is helping, in some cases, airports, tour operators, DMOs, to actually get their visitors make this transition in a seamless way. So the idea is to make it as easy as possible for people to find a less impactful, in terms of climate impact, travel mode. I'd like to start with just a very high-level question to the audiences. You can pick one of the 3 trips that you'd like to make, whether it is going to a conference in Lisbon, whether it's going to an overseas destination, a backpacking adventure, you name it. And then think for yourself what you believe would be the climate impact linked to your stay, your hotel stay, what you do at the destination, versus how you get there. Get a number, a percentage in your head. So these are actually the calculations, the results for these trips. And if we look at, for example, a conference where you travel from Brussels to Lisbon and you stay there 4 days, then you'll realize that actually your climate impact, both the CO2 and the non-CO2 impact, because flying has both impacts, will account to 93% of your overall carbon footprint. So there's a lot of talks about what we can do at destinations. There's a lot of solutions on what we can do at destinations, but we see that many tourism actors are still stuck at this 7% focus, because it is hard to do something on the 93%. But there's hope, and that's the hope we want to bring. Now there's hope. sometimes the hope gets a little too futuristic. There's talks about hydrogen aviation, talks about battery electric aviation. It's all nice, but if you look at what solutions will help us in the coming years between now and 2050, then it is almost negligible what electric aviation or hydrogen aviation will be able to do for us. There is only a couple of solutions that we can use today, and we'll get to those in a second. But even if these technologies break through, then for long-haul destinations, the Brazilian traveler that wants to come to Europe, even in 2050, this will not be on hydrogen, this will not be on electric aviation. So that's why we bring solutions that work today. The easiest solution, of course, is if people think they need to fly to a destination, well, we make them think differently. We'll try to put them on a train. So when you search on our platform on Book Better for a flight, and we know there's a decent alternative, we push it. And a decent alternative, sometimes when you search a train and a train takes you 12 hours to get somewhere, people consider it not a decent alternative. But if it's a night train and you're sleeping while you're on it, then why wouldn't it be decent? Current algorithms just punish it because of the duration, but in practice, it is a very decent way of getting to a destination. For example, if you travel from Prague, from Germany, you can take the European sleeper train and arrive in Brussels the next morning. So it's absolutely a good alternative. That's the first thing we do. Second thing we do is actually using emissions data. So the big travel players, they have always hoped that if they show emissions data, that suddenly travel behavior would change. And it didn't. So that's where we need to be smarter. But if you nudge people in the right way, you can get 20 to 30% of emission savings just by orienting people to the right flight. It can be a slight increase in cost, but a negligible increase in cost and an immense impact on your carbon footprint. So that's the second pillar. The third pillar is alternative fuels. It has been mentioned before. I think it was Juan who mentioned the collection of used cooking oil to produce biodiesel for vehicles. Well, actually, the used cooking oil is often used also for producing alternative jet fuel. And this is one of the feedstocks that is available today, but many more, about 100 different feedstocks can be used to produce alternative fuel. Also in Flanders, we have some companies that are really strong at doing that. So let's embrace it, let's use it as a solution because it exists, it's there, but it needs uptake and it needs to be embraced by the whole travel industry. And then contrail avoidance. So that's the non-CO2. When you look at the sky and you see these white lines behind an aircraft, they're called contrails. It's actually just artificial clouds, but there's things we can do today to avoid the formation of them. And if they're formed, they actually create overall a heating effect. They work as a blanket, so they trap heat of our Earth. And it's actually very, very cheap to avoid them. But today there's no business case for airlines to do it. So we try to create this business case as well. Voila. So these solutions, you can try them out. You can see them on our platform. But we actually make them available as APIs, as widgets, as integrations in existing travel agencies, in websites of DMOs, in websites of airports, so that bit by bit, step by step, they can orient their visitors to other better solutions. It doesn't need to be sold as a sustainable solution. It can just be sold as the easiest solution. And then the sustainability is a nice add-on that you get as a result. So when the question comes on what we would expect from the European Commission, yeah, let's stay ambitious on this sustainable connectivity, and let's not water it down under the influence of certain actors that want us to slow it down. Voila, that's my call.
Thank you very much, Luis. I'm going to pass quickly to to Nikki de Schrijver, CEO of Kosh, and we'll ask her to please be brief because we are really short of time. Sorry about it.
I'll do my best. Thanks.
So,
all right. Thank you very much. I'm Nikki de Schrijver, CEO of Kosh. And Kosh is really here to accelerate the transition from the fashion and retail sector because it's quite overlooked also in tourism, as beautifully demonstrated by Vincent, thank you, that it's not being part of the tourism part. However, if you have all the shopping streets all selling the same clothing, the same shops, you're losing a part of the identity of the local cities. And that's exactly why we are here to support. Currently, Kosh is active in Belgium, Netherlands, and Germany, where we guide conscious shoppers to more local solutions. And thanks to the future tourism, we included and built AI that, based on your wardrobe choices, when you land in a city of choice or you arrive at a city of choice, you will be connected to local shops that are matching with your clothing habits. And in every case, what we do inside the app is we follow the full circular ladder strategy, where we help people to rewear what they have, but to reuse it also, to find local sustainable shops that are upcycling, local makers, and so on. And how do we support the whole framework is by actually connecting lots and lots and lots of data points. On one side, you have digital product passports coming under the EU Green Deal for textiles, which we're connecting and also offering to small SMEs who can't afford big solutions. Retailers, they log into our system and manage it from there. Consumers and app users use it from the website perspective, and we collaborate with cities where we can also embed our smart city dashboards to show everything. So how does it work? People can easily upload clothing that they own based on your own wardrobe. If you go to a city of choice, it will guide you to the more local sustainable shops. And very soon, thanks to the CO2 emissions, which are all published in digital product passports, which each garment will have by 2028, all this data comes together and we can measure the impact. Because I need to keep it short, we're also including repair opportunities in there very soon. And under the Future Tourism project, we also launched in Porridge. And one of the things that we really discovered there is that in terms of small SMEs, local makers, local shops, there's large parts of Europe which are still completely under-digitized. They are undiscoverable by AI. They're undiscoverable on Google. If you look on their, what we discovered is, even if you look on their Instagram, you think they're dead because the last post was 3 years ago. So we really needed to go inside the city to do the legwork, to identify them, to leverage them on our website, to leverage them on our platform, because our platform is highly visited and scraped by AI on a every second basis at the moment. We give them a digital identity as well and make them discoverable for AIs creating shopping routes. So it doesn't always pass through our web platform, but we help them digitize. At the same time, all these local makers, they need digital product passports as well, and they can't afford the tools. They don't know where to look. And if they don't have them, they will be out of business in 2 to 3 years. So that's also where we help them. And all the impact we're making, we're measuring in smart city dashboards where we can publish the CO2 emissions we saved, but we also work with local EPR schemes on prevention and facilitating circular economy standards. So it's an all-in-one platform connecting all the data points, really focusing on local under-digitized SMEs, very often female-owned businesses, to really make them shine, so that also in local cities they become visible, and you have more to resort to than H&M and Primark. Thank you very much.
Nikki, thank you very much for being brief, but really interesting, your intervention. And I see so far how much the companies are using this technology that, artificial intelligence that we were mentioned all the time from the beginning about challenges. So far we have two good examples. We go to our third one. We are going now to hear from Karel de Schrijver, the CEO of Camprea, about developing digital solutions for management of camper and motorhome destinations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Karel van der Heijden, CEO of Camprea. We are a small Belgian SME trying to do very local projects to help municipalities and regions to address the challenges of the growing camper motorhome tourism. Because maybe you don't know, but camper tourism is booming. It's growing 3 times faster than hotel tourism. And it's, of course, also economically important with an estimated 20 to 25 million overnight stays in Spain alone every year by motorhome tourists. So, of course, this leads to pressure, regional pressure, seasonal pressure. You have overcrowding in popular spots, like certain regions in Spain are really overwhelmed by campers, where campers take over all the parking spaces, all the beach places. You have problems with compliance and registration, where a hotel guest normally is registered, but a camper tourist that stays overnight somewhere, nobody knows who that is. There are issues with wild camping, informal camping, and so on. And of course, you have issues with waste and wastewater of all these vehicles. But camper tourism has a much lower environmental impact than a hotel tourist, to make a comparison. There is no air travel, of course. A motorhome tourist consumes on average between 20 and 40 liters of water per day, which is more than 10 times less than a hotel tourist. And much important, there are no off-season ghost towns that are created by that form of tourism. There are no big real estate projects, and there is no impact on the housing cost. So there are benefits of camper tourism, but also challenges. We try to address these challenges by a nudging approach. So what do? We created a platform where people can register, and once they register, we will try to nudge their behavior. And since they are registered, we have also data, and this data will help us in helping the communities, the municipalities and regions to manage this form of tourism. So how does it work? We have different types of incentives and gamification to incentivize people to register when they arrive at a certain scene. So they come at a certain scene, there's an information panel saying, hi, welcome here. You can stay here, but you need to register. Why are they doing it? They are doing it because they get information, they get a reminder on these are the rules on this place, you can stay that many days. And there are so many places. Please don't overcrowd it. If there are 20 places, don't be the 21st. And then there is other information like the weekly market of the town, but also collaboration with for example, local transport and with the municipality. The town can, for example, give vouchers to people that stay on a camper area to use the public transport and to visit the market, things like that. And then finally, the system is also used for emergency communication because people are registered, we can reach them. And so we can use the system also for alerts, for example, when there is a flood warning. So when it becomes interesting is when we start to combine the data of several places, not just one place, but several places. Because of the data, we know which regions, which places are overcrowded or tend to be overcrowded. And we also know which places are in demand of more tourists, which is mostly inland places. So what we do, we use the data and we use the registration of the visitors to start to nudge them. They can register on some places in advance. When they try to register, we will provide them with information, say, hey, you know, that place is almost full. but there is another town, like 20 kilometers more in town, there's a weekly market, there is this attraction and that. Why don't you go there? So that is what we do. We try to combine the data of different registrations of different physical locations to nudge people to the less crowded areas. And because of that, we can also provide data to the municipalities to help them to manage this and to have proof of the economical impact also in their town about from this form of tourism. So when the question comes, what do we expect from the Commission? Well, as a technological scale-up, what we can say is that our biggest challenges are scaling across Europe, which is a nightmare. It's a nightmare on e-invoicing. Each country has different standards. Spain invented their own multiple standards. Germany has another standard. France has another standard. That's a problem. Tourist tax are different everywhere. Try to integrate that in an international platform. That's not easy. Registration regulation is different everywhere. And also the Euro company is very difficult because local administrations simply don't know what it is and how it works. So that would be our request to the Commission, is to try to harmonize things as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, how a company, how an entrepreneur is using new technologies, digital technologies, to improve tourism and also to bring stakeholders together to help, in this case, municipalities with data. So thank you very much to all of you. This was really, really interesting, very good insights. But I should say again that we are really short of time, so I would like now to introduce a new block. Where we will talk about circular economy and tourism challenge, and we'll also give the closing remarks. So, for talking about circular economy and tourism challenge, I would like to present. I'm pleased to be here with Milton Restrepo. He's the Director General of Ibagué Limpia, which is the company responsible for waste management, circularity, and environmental services in this Colombian city of Ibagué. So he came all the way from Colombia. Thank you for being here. And he's also Executive Director of the Global Circular Economy Summit, a summit that the first edition took place recently in April 2026. And it brought together authorities, international authorities from Latin America, from Europe, from Asia, entrepreneurs. And it was back for the OCDE, and it was the first local circular economy summit. But I won't talk more, and I will give the floor to Milton Restrepo. Please, Milton, thank you very much.
Pilar, muchas gracias. Un saludo muy especial a todos desde Colombia. Y uno de los principales principios para hablar de ese turismo resiliente es la diversidad. Sobre ese principio de una diversidad como derecho y más que como respeto, iniciamos hablando de ese turismo resiliente y cómo desde la Cumbre Global de Economía Circular, Nova Next Summit en su segunda edición y de la mano de un socio estratégico como Finnova, queremos presentar en el marco de la segunda edición el reto del turismo y el entretenimiento circular.
I will translate. Mr. Restrepo explained that from this perspective of the local circular economy, from the first summit that was in Colombia, but also with the support of different international organizations of the OCDE, like the International Organization of Iberoamerica, Mercociudad, and I agree also that we have a representative of the Committee of the Regions, of the European Commission, and also Mr. Gabriel Mato from the European Parliament. He wants to highlight the importance of the word diversity and resilience. And he's announcing that for the second edition, that will be at the end of September 2027, in more than 1 year, he's launching here for the first time the new challenge about sustainable and resilience tourism and events for the impact in a municipality.
Muy importante saber que en LATAM para el año 2025 tuvimos cerca de 200 millones de visitantes, del cual cerca de 40 millones son europeos. De los 793 millones de visitantes que tuvo Europa, un porcentaje similar es latinoamericano y del Caribe. Por eso es importante construir un puente universal que nos permita avanzar, como lo decía Bruno, Vicente, movilidad sostenible, infraestructura sostenible, conectividad, para terminar hablando de un real turismo sostenible en el marco de la Cumbre Local de Economía Circular.
Mr. Restrepo explains that Iberoamerica received 200 million tourism, and from them 40 million were from Europe. When the figures he has is Europe received 700 million tourism with an important and similar average of tourists from Iberoamerica and Caribbean. It's because of that we need to build bridge from the European Union to Latin America. And as Bruno and Vicente has explained, we need this kind of solutions, digital solutions, to help us in the sustainable tourism and in how to diminish the impact of CO2 from the tourist activity.
Por eso queremos hacer un crecimiento de turismo en nuestra región que regenere, no degrade, que nuestro patrimonio natural y el del mundo, como los recursos hídricos y el potencial de la música y la comunidad, encuentren una base en la tecnología que sea circular para escalar este reto a América Latina y tender el puente con Europa. No es de poca importancia de que al año mueran 7 millones de personas por aire contaminado, que es morir casi 7 veces la población de Bruselas. Por eso el reto que hemos propuesto en el marco de la Cumbre Local de Economía Circular, queremos denominarlo del overturismo a la regeneración, el turismo que cierra el círculo.
And the challenge is how to promote the growth of the tourism in the region of Iberoamerica that has to respect the natural heritage they have, the water resources, but also from a cultural point of view, the music. And it's because of that we have to design better eco-design, the circular economy, and it's because of that we are launching this challenge that, of course, there will be, I'm clarifying that, there will be in Ibagué, in the Circulab, it will be the living lab place to implement the solutions that we will recollect under this challenge, this Startup Europe Awards. We have to think about that 7 million casualties every year of people that dies because of the contaminated air. we have to think about that. And it means 7 million people is around 7 times every year the citizens of the city of the big Brussels that die. Is to understand the importance of the impact of the quality of air. That is one of the parts of the tourism, and it's because of that we are launching here this category under the Ibagué Startup Europe Awards.
Por eso, para terminar, queremos en este importante evento dejar el reto de turismo sostenible en el marco de la Cumbre Local de Economía Circular Abierto, del cual pueden presentarse cualquier autoridad, persona pública o privada, y que esperamos en el mes de septiembre, en la segunda edición, que ojalá sea alguien de Europa quien acceda a este Startup Ibagué Europe Awards. Por eso queremos cerrar diciendo que la pregunta no es si Ibagué crecerá en un turismo, sino qué tipo de turismo elegirá, que el aporte de Ibagué al debate mundial no sea una ciudad más que descubre el overturismo, sino la primera que diseña desde el sur un turismo circular, regenerativo y musicalmente nuestro.
Okay, Mr. Restrepo is explaining that and he's ending with this highlighting the importance of the sustainable and regenerative tourism that is open to any small and medium enterprise, but also is open for the public sector, that we have the way of doing to work together, and also for the big corporates, they have also a role to play, but the focus of this call is for small and medium enterprises and startups. And he would like a lot if, of course, one of these talent European startups could be the winner. Why not? Because the question for the Ibagué city is which kind of tourism is going to be implemented. And they want to design better, thanks to this open innovation strategy, public-private partnership strategy, to go to a real regenerative tourism and sustainable tourism. And of course, he has highlighted the importance of culture and music and food, because Ibagué is the capital of music in Colombia. Then, and I'm translating, the question is that which kind of tourism will be chosen, and the add value they want to implement is not to discover an over-tourism, as we have learned in this session, but the first city in the south of in South America that designs that circular tourism, regenerative tourism, and musical tourism. It's because of that we do this open call here in the Committee of the Regions and Municipalities of Europe for startups, spin-offs from the university, cooperatives, and teams, why not, from Colombia or European, that are aligned with the 18 principles of the United Nations Tourism and the Declaration of Glasgow. And now, on behalf of Finova Foundation, I want to clarify that the methodology means sometimes we try to connect different startups where there is a sense, and they will prepare a pre-European project. And the idea for the winner is to try to help them in an accelerator program. We have the Startup Europe Accelerator program to try to have access from the CAF, funding from the CAF, from the European Investment of Development for European Union. It's true that European Commission is doing a lot of efforts. For the first time, we have a commissioner in tourism and transport, what is logical. But again, we need a new European Union funding that is called, imagine, European tourism, as we have digital tourism. It's true that there are the slot to submit proposals under the LIFE program with Iberoamerica under the LATAM about the Alinvest Green, that of course next week will be the big final conference and summit of all the Alinvest beneficiaries. There are a lot of projects in the field of agrotourism. After, in this meeting room, Paulina will explain some projects in that field, in agrotourism in Latin America, European, Latin American projects. But the idea is to offer IBAGE as Living Lab for potential, as you have to visit IBAGE and the Tolima region. It's a region in the field of coffee. You cannot imagine the biodiversity they have, more than 700 different birds. I have been there, and it's really, for camper, I cannot imagine a best place than IBAGE and Tolima to start your expansion in Latin America. It's what we pretend to do with all of you, also for the people that is online. Thank you very much for following us. And this, we have started this morning with tourism, but in this meeting room we will be working hard up to the end of I think, Pilar 5:30, with different projects that all of them has a link with sustainable tourism. As I have mentioned, the project One Blue, Pilar, perhaps you can say you can share some bullet points about what we are going to offer in that field of protecting the water, and also in the field of agrotourism and coffee and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's why I was, well, but I first want to thank you. Muchas gracias, Milton Restrepo. Thank you for the work you are doing. Congratulations. And from here, we call the European enterprises to join this IBAGE Challenge on Tourism. And so once again, thank you very much. You also mentioned restorative tourism, turismo restaurativo, that we have mentioned a few times here today. So just to say thank you, everyone. If you want to hear more about One Blue, a very good project, you can stay a bit longer. But now we can follow the discussion during the networking session, coffee now, outside. And I don't want to forget to thank all the Finnova team for the great organization of this session. Thank you. Yes.
Coffee from Colombia, perhaps.
Then I will have a coffee today. Just to say, please be here at 11:30. We have 10 minutes coffee. Thank you.